You're saying that I can't have a hairstyle because of your culture? Why?
Because it's my culture. You know what box means?
Do you know it was in Egyptian culture? Are you Egyptian? Nah, bro, I'm not.
Are you Egyptian?
No, but it doesn't matter.
Wait, where's Egypt? Tell me.
You know what, girl?
Where's Egypt?
Dude, girl, you have no right to tell me what I think I get. Huh?
Where's Egypt?
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now.
Yo, girl, stop touching me right now. Come back.
Get off of me.
Come back, come back, come back. You put your hands on me, no more.
Like, you know, makes sense and shit because of what the hair I have? That's no reason, yo. I don't need your disrespect. I don't need your disrespect.
Why are you filming this?
Just for everyone's safety.
Cultural appropriating is often a word, or not word, but a term that makes me cringe all the time because I genuinely think it's one of those kinds of conversations that really, really don't matter. Now, I think there's a difference between culture appropriating, here's that word, and mocking a culture. When you mock a culture, you're kind of disrespecting another person's culture, whether they're Native American, Black, Hispanic, Asian, even if you're white. I don't know. I don't know what to consider. I guess hamburgers and Budweiser, I don't fucking know. But regardless, as you saw in the clip, there was this white guy that was wearing dreads, and there was a black girl that decided to confront him about it, had a conversation with him, and then after that smacked the camera out of the person who's recording. Now, in these kinds of clips, I always have to be very careful because you have to remember that these are altercations that happen out of context, and we're only recording part of it. It's why that whole city Karen or biker Karen, whatever, the white lady who had an issue with the bike with the 5 young men, and that issue, I feel like that kind of went over proportion. It was a 40-second clip. People were like asking the stupidest questions. And we always have to remember that these are out of context. You never know exactly what's going on. But for this instance, we're going to vaguely go with this specific video that we saw. And you see the white guys wearing dreads. Now, me personally, I've seen white guys with dreads very few times in my life. I've seen white guys with dreads. Usually, my thought is, it looks ugly. It looks dumb. I'm not even joking. It's mainly because it doesn't feel natural. Because different cultures have different hairstyles. You know, usually if you see a certain hairstyle on a different person, or not just hairstyle, but a hair type, you know, it just looks weird. Right. And I even go through this at the same time because sometimes I look at pictures of my old sophomore year. Now, when I was a sophomore in high school, I used to strain my hair all the time. Like literally, like I would strain it because I had much shorter hair. But I had like the typical Mexican cut, you know, the fade on the side, a little bit long on the top. But I remember I was insecure about my wavy hair because it was hard to brush. It was very thick. I didn't know how to do it. Not only that, but it kept getting messy. And I felt always so insecure that I would like strain my hair because it made things easier. I thought at the time it looked nicer, but now I do look back and look at my straight hair and it just looks so funny. It kind of looks funny. It doesn't really look all that weird, but it does look funny because now I've gone years without ever using a straightener, and now I love my wavy-ish hair kind of. But besides that, I saw this clip, and I think this goes into a bigger conversation. I think something that we need to talk about is 2020 kind of shifted our thoughts and mentality on race specifically to a lot of people. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Social media is taken over by younger people with no real life experience. So oftentimes when there's a serious conversation, oftentimes it's drowned out by people who don't have an experience on it. How do I know this? A lot of times I've seen people literally claim that an 18-year-old dating a 16-year-old is grooming, or a 17-year-old. I've seen that actually happen on freaking Twitter. And that's because they're kids. They don't know better. They don't know much. And me too. I'm only 21 years old. I don't know anything about the world. That's why I try to have conversations. I try to be calm and objective when I give my thoughts and opinions on things. But in 2020, one thing you saw very heavily was the narrative that changed on race. Now, racism has existed for far long before I've ever existed, and racism will continue to exist after, unfortunately. But the goal is always to limit it. In 2020, of course, we had the whole BLM stuff, and that results into multiple different conversations. The police stuff, our black people being oppressed. That was kind of the conversation that went on. But one of the things that really heavily went on post 2020 was the whole topic of culture appropriating. Now, I only brought up those things just to kind of hint at this part. But culture appropriating, what is that? Now, from what I've gathered, and every time I've seen that conversation come up, from what it sounds like, culture appropriating is when somebody who's not from a certain race dresses or does customs of another culture or race. So, for example, I guess a white guy wearing a sombrero, that is to Mexican culture. I guess that's what the culture appropriating means. Now, me personally, I've never cared for it. Like I said in the beginning, and the reason why I don't care about it is because I think people should be open to learning about cultures. I think people should be open to seeing other cultures, whether it's Asian culture, whether, and by the way, Asian, Hispanic. I know I'm saying that briefly. Obviously, there's different, there's South Korea, Japan, China, all those. They all have their own unique culture. Same thing with Latin America, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina. They're all different. But to just kind of quickly sum up, I think there's different cultures. I think people should get in tune with them. And if you want to wear a poncho, that isn't just specifically only for Mexicans. I think if a white person wants to wear it, cool, let them wear it, as long as they're not being disrespectful. Here's the thing. To me, the whole culture appropriating thing, to me, feels dumb, because I think people should be able to just try out new things, try out new stuff, right? And I think that we also need to stop this barrier of holding ourselves as just individuals. Because I think at the end of the day, I think we need to start realizing that we're just one race. We're the human race, right? But we do have our uniqueness, and I think we should accept that. Now, with this white guy wearing dreads, well, yes, it looks dumb. I won't lie to you. I think it looks dumb. It's not really anything. And by the way, the guy was being cringe. If you saw in the clip, that guy was trying to bring up the Egyptian history and all that, like about the hair and all that. That was cringe too, but the black girl confronting him about it. First of all, I doubt anyone actually cares about this. I think it's just because you've been programmed to care about it. Realistically, at the end of the day, it's just a white guy thought this hairstyle looked cool. He tried it out. Cool. Who cares? Quite literally, there's far more important things happening. But yet you still have people having these in-depth conversations of the white man is trying to take over all our culture. It's like, no, we need to stop this whole blaming white people stuff. I get it. There's historical issues, but you have to remember that there is now a new generation of white kids that had nothing to do with everything. Sure, there's certain privileges, but who fucking cares? It's like, it's not their fault. So we need to stop this whole blaming white people for everything. Don't get me wrong, I like to make fun of white people all the time. Don't get me wrong. And don't get me wrong, when I see white people trying to eat Mexican food, I cringe. But who fucking cares at the end of the day? There's a difference between cringe and being dumb. Actually, there's probably not that much of a difference, so I don't know why I brought that up. But who cares? And getting this aggressive and getting this angry over a hairstyle, I get you love your hairstyle. But then again, now what is the conversation? Does that mean that people who have curly hair can't straighten their hair? Why do you think people get perms? People just try new things. And to limit certain hairstyles to certain groups, I just don't think is helping anything. If anything, it might get worse. It just sounds weird. Who cares about culture appropriating? A white guy has waves? Cool. Why does anyone care? Seriously, I know the world's complex, and I know not everything's black and white, but sometimes things aren't as complex as people want them to think. It's obvious this white guy just wanted to look cool, and he thought this hairstyle would look good on him, and he had it. It's like, I'm also fine if you tell him, hey, your hair looks dumb. That's it. That's all you have to say. But I don't know. To me, I just hate this whole conversation of culture appropriating. That's why I never, like, every time that conversation comes up, it's just so cringy. It's so annoying. It's like, come on, man. Come on. I mean, especially in the United States of America. United States of America is a very diverse country. You got Hispanics here. You got Asians here. You got black people here. You got white people here. You got Europeans coming up, or, yeah, I messed that up. But, yeah, you got all kinds of people here. And I feel like part of the beauty of the United States of America is, hey, we're all united. We're all different and unique in our own ways. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all human who came to this country because they gave us more opportunities, a newer life, a better, version of ourselves. And we got to take advantage of it. And I think we should cooperate. I mean, it's still one of the most beautiful things I can think of. I remember in freshman year, I was friends with these two kids. One of them was Vietnamese and the other was Indian. And me, from Mexican Salvadoran immigrant, it was kind of funny. I remember one time we just talked about that. We were like, what are the chances that all three of us just so happen to become friends. It's like it's funny. You can't fathom that, but in the United States, that is possible because that is the American dream. Those are my thoughts. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment sections down below. See y'all in the next one. Ciao.
Yeah, we broke and we know it, we don't act like all these other rappers acting like they got racks. Borrow cars, but we whipping in my mom's truck. 99 full, but act like it's a double R. Yeah, we broke and we know it, we don't act like all these other rappers acting like they got racks. Borrow cars, but we whipping in my mom's truck. 99 full, but act like it's a